My dad and his friends had Patriot tickets when they were terrible. You'd have 30,000 in at Sullivan Stadium and Schaefer Stadium and the Celtics as well. So I grew up in that town and played hockey and played baseball and football and just fell in love with athletics and took that with me when I decided to leave Boston and go to Florida State. And 4 years later, make that 5 years later, graduated with a criminology degree from FSU. And, I'll be honest, that's when I really discovered college football. I didn't know anything about the campus. I didn't know anything about Tallahassee. Even being in high school during the Doug Flutie years, BC was on page 6, page 7 of the Boston Globe. It's not a college town. It's nothing but a pro town. So I was welcomed into a totally new deal when I saw Florida State for the first time in the mid-'80s. I was shocked just to see what college football was like down here in the Deep South. So that was one of the many pleasant surprises that I was able to take on. I had a real good job as a bartender in Tallahassee. I got it late my junior year. And I figured that I'd never had an opportunity to get into sports radio because I didn't have a communications degree, a journalism degree. I had a criminology degree. And, I just had a conversation with a couple of different people, and it's amazing everyone that you're able to meet when you are tending bar. And I was lucky enough to begin an internship for a guy by the name of Tom Block, who remains one of my good friends today. He had a 1-hour talk show in Tallahassee. He moved on to television, and the door opened for me under the condition that I could sell radio. So I'd be selling G. Gordon Liddy and Rush Limbaugh, and we had a 1-hour sports radio show from 6 to 7 at night, and it went tremendously. And things took off, and all of a sudden, the 1-hour show became 3 hours, and then we became a 24-hour sports radio channel in Tallahassee. So year 2, 96, we were running Jaguar games in year 1, 1995 on our Tallahassee radio station. And one day the phone rang, and I was pursued to come on over here and be a part of AM 600 The Ball. It was a brand new startup radio station in 1996, and it seems like that was a half a life ago. And I guess in some circles it was just unbelievable, though, to think about the testosterone that was being tossed around then, and the chances that I took at that point in my career. I think back on it now, and I'm lucky that I was able to survive. But that was sports radio then. It was a different element than what we have today. I think one of the keys is being a chameleon and learning and understanding when you need to make the proper changes as sports radio as a whole has changed. But that was it. I was here in 96, and things ended at the Ball. Then I started a simulcast on 930 here in town, then went back to Tallahassee as well, where I was on both stations. And then that's when Chicago came and called right after the AFC Championship game when the Jags lost to Tennessee. So from here, I went to Chicago for 7 years and then came back to 1010XL in the fall of 2006. It's really cool to see how this has grown. I want to say when we got here, there were 3 radio stations, sports radio stations, and obviously that's no longer the case. But to be one of the originals, and I really wanted to come back here. I could have been in bigger markets, or markets that certainly included Major League Baseball and the NHL, which are really 2 of my fortes. But it was just something about Jacksonville that I really loved, and there's not one regret. I've been on several different time periods during my 15 years here, and for the most part, it has been absolutely spectacular. Maybe a hiccup here or perhaps there, But, for the most part, it's been sensational. And I enjoy my colleagues. I enjoy that people will say, oh, it's a one-horse town. What are you going to talk about during the off season? There's plenty to talk about around here. That's never been a concern for me. That's one of the beauties of doing what we do is you can't mail it in. You always got to reach deep and try to find something that someone else is not talking about. And you can never take away local talk. You can never take away good local sports talk. You're not going to hear about the Jacksonville Jaguars on these podcasts. You're not going to hear about the Jacksonville Jaguars on national radio. The advantage we have here at 1010XL and 92.5 FM is every single day we have news on the Jaguars. We are first on the Jaguars. With apologies to my buddies on TV, you get your slotted time. The newspaper business has died. Yes, the internet is important, but you look at your phone for your news and you flip it on us to get the very latest as to what is happening, plus the content that we can provide with the coaches and the players that we have on as well. That separates 1010XL and 92.5 FM from anything else, any other entity here. And I think it's why real good, great sports talk radio will always survive. And unfortunately, other parts of radio are becoming a dinosaur.